He ordered her execution at dawn, but when the blindfold fell, he realized she wasn't just the maid who betrayed him. She was the reason he still saw light. Now cursed with her final touch, the Alpha King must choose: love her ghost or burn for it. Before you decide whether he's in love or cursed, tell me in the comments, what would you do if the one you blinded still begged to see you again? And don't forget to subscribe. The next story burns even deeper. They said the Alpha King of Ilarion had no weakness until a servant girl stole his sight and his sanity in a single night. The gods called it justice, the people called it treason, but he called it fate. From the darkness of his chamber, Kaelin still heard her voice, the cadence of defiance, the heartbeat of a girl who should have begged for mercy. Every night he dreamed of her face, though he'd never see it again. Every morning, the fire in his eyes whispered her name. When she was sentenced to die, he should have let her burn. But the curse had other plans. The closer she came to execution, the stronger his blindness flared, each pulse of her breath echoing inside him like a bond no god could break. He doesn't know if it's love or the cruelest trick the moon has ever played. The world is sound now. A whisper becomes thunder, a heartbeat a hammer. Every echo scratches at Kaelin's skull, as if the darkness itself mocks him. The once mighty Alpha King of Ilarion sits in the cold center of his chamber, bandages across his eyes, fingers digging into the stone floor that once trembled beneath his power. He doesn't dream anymore, only remembers. Her voice, soft but defiant, whispering before the curse struck. You'll see as the gods do, through pain. The words fester in his mind like an open wound. He tears the bandages away. Nothing, just blackness. Yet somehow he feels the fire beneath his skin, his veins pulsing with heat that doesn't burn, only torments. Bring me the High Seer, he commands. His voice cracks, raw and human, not kingly. Moments later, footsteps echo in the chamber. Aestra Volin enters, her presence quiet but unyielding. The scent of herbs and iron follows her. You summoned me, Your Grace, she says. Her tone is steady, but her heartbeat flutters. Kaelin can hear it now, the rhythm of fear. The curse, he begins, words dragging through ash. It took my sight, but not my mind. Tell me what she did to me. She did nothing that wasn't already inside you, Aestra replies. The curse is a mirror, Majesty. It reflects what festers beneath the crown. Kaelin's hands clench. You call blindness a reflection. I call it justice, she says. You saw the world only as conquest. Now the moon demands you learn to feel it. He stands, the floor trembling under the weight of his power. You dare lecture your king? Aestra doesn't flinch. I dare remind you that the girl you blinded with your wrath was the only soul the moon marked twice. Silence. Then, softly, Kaelin asks, Twice? The mark she bears, Aestra whispers, is not from this life alone. You've met her before, across lifetimes. Each time, love ends in ruin. Each time, you lose your sight before you see the truth. Her words strike him like ice. Enough, Kaelin growls. Spare me riddles. I want her alive. Bring her before me. Aestra's voice falters. She awaits execution at dawn. He turns toward the sound, his silvered eyes hollow behind the bandages. Not until I hear her confession. I'll decide her fate myself. The seer bows, but not without warning. Careful, my king. The moon watches. If you seek her voice again, you may not like what you hear. Hours later, Kaelin stands alone in the dungeon corridor. The air reeks of damp stone and rusted chains. He can feel the cold biting through his armor, can sense the trembling of guards, who no longer dare look him in the face. He moves by sound, the drip of water, the scrape of chains, the faint hum of the curse pulsing in his blood. And then it happens. A single heartbeat, steady, defiant, cuts through the silence. It doesn't belong to any soldier. Kaelin stops breathing. His curse stirs. The fire in his veins whispers, Her. He takes a step forward, guided only by the rhythm of that heartbeat. "Who's there?" he demands. No answer, just the echo of soft breathing, calm, measured, waiting. Then, from the darkness, "Do you hear it too?" The voice is unmistakable. Hers. The girl who took his sight, who cursed his name, and somehow still lives in the space between his every breath. Kaelin grips the bars of her cell. "You—" She steps closer, chains dragging softly. "You shouldn't be here, Majesty." "Neither should you," he murmurs. "Yet here we are." Her heartbeat accelerates, and he can feel it inside his chest, pulsing as if it were his own. "What is this?" he whispers, half afraid of the answer. The girl lifts her head. "A curse," she says. "Or maybe it's the only way the moon could make you listen." Kaelin leans closer, his sightless eyes wide, his breath trembling. "Say my name," he commands. Her lips part, but before she speaks, the torches gutter and die. Darkness swallows everything except the sound that binds them. Two hearts, beating as one. In the dungeon's silence, he hears her heartbeat, and it calls his name. The dungeon breathes like a wounded beast. Water drips in the distance, slow, deliberate, echoing against the stones that remember screams. The air is thick with rust and incense. Somewhere deeper, a heartbeat trembles. Hers. Seraphine doesn't flinch when the guards unlock her cell. They think she can't sense the king's arrival, but she feels him, his silence heavier than armor, his breath steeped in guilt. The air bends when he enters. Kaelin stands before her, eyes still bandaged in black silk. His voice is low, stripped of command. "Why didn't you run?" "From what?" she answers softly. "The curse, the crime. Or you?" Her tone cuts cleaner than any blade. The chains clink when she shifts. "You wouldn't have let me," she adds. Kaelin's jaw tightens. "You think I enjoy this darkness?" "No," she murmurs. "I think you deserve it." The words sting more than the curse ever did. He should leave. Every step closer feeds the pulse that hums between them, the strange rhythm that began the night he lost his sight. But he can't turn away. Her heartbeat draws him in, steady, defiant, alive. He kneels. "Tell me what you did." Her lips curve in a faint smile. "I gave you what you gave me. Silence. You burned my sight, and I showed you how it feels." "I didn't burn you," he says, voice raw. "No," she answers, "but your soldiers did, under your orders. You just never saw the faces that screamed for mercy." The torchlight flickers. His breath shakes. "If I'd known—" "You'd have done nothing differently," she says, though her voice wavers. "Kings don't bleed for servants." The silence between them burns. That night becomes the first of many. He returns again and again. At dusk, at midnight, before dawn. Each visit begins with anger and ends in questions neither can answer. She speaks of the world in colors he can no longer see. How moonlight feels like cold silk, how dawn tastes like ash. Through her voice, Kaelin begins to see again, not with eyes, but through rhythm, sound, warmth. The rustle of her hair becomes light. The tremor of her pulse becomes shape. Her breath against the air paints her face in his mind. Aestra warns him, "Each word you trade feeds the curse. The moon marked her as your undoing." He ignores her. The darkness has become bearable only because of Seraphine's voice. "Why do you speak to me?" he asks one night. She sits cross-legged in the straw, head tilted as though she still sees him clearly. "Because you listen, even when you pretend you don't." "I'm a monster," he murmurs. "You're a man, who forgot how to feel," she corrects. "Monsters don't regret." Her words carve something open inside him. The fire in his blood still burns, but when she speaks, it flickers into warmth instead of pain. Days blur. She begins describing the world for him. The echo of God's boots, the smell of rain through the cracks, the faint glimmer of dawn she feels on her skin, even if she can't see it. Her blindness is her power, her defiance against the dark. You make it sound beautiful, he admits. It is, she whispers, because it's not yours to control. On the seventh night, Kaelin breaks every law of the gods. He unlocks her chains himself. The iron creaks. The sound echoes like a confession. You should be free, he says. Seraphine stands, unsteady but proud. And you? I haven't been free since the curse chose you. He reaches for her without thinking, fingers trembling through the space between them. When his skin brushes hers, light, it bursts between their palms, silver and alive, flooding the dungeon in waves that silence even the torches. For the first time since his blinding, Kaelin sees, not the world, but her. Seraphine's face glows in his mind's eye, hair like dusk, eyes clouded but radiant, tears glinting like glass. And she sees him too, as he truly is, every scar, every fracture of guilt. Their breath catches. The air quivers with divine power. The curse has awakened. Estra's voice echoes through the stones above, distant but fierce. Fools, each touch feeds the bond. The moon sees you both. Seraphine pulls back, gasping, the glow fading between their fingers. What have we done? Kaelin's voice trembles, half wonder, half fear. We've done what was forbidden. Their hands fall apart, yet the warmth lingers, binding them still. And in the darkness, the faintest echo of the moon whispers through the walls. The more you see each other, the less the world will survive. When Kaelin touches her hand, his blindness flickers, and both glimpse one another, bathed in forbidden silver light. The world hasn't breathed since that touch. Kaelin still feels it. The heat under his skin, the shimmer behind his ruined eyes. The dungeon's torches long died, yet the echo of that silver blaze lingers, a ghost light pulsing between him and the girl who defied gods. He shouldn't have returned her to her cell. He shouldn't have stayed long enough to memorize the rhythm of her heartbeat. But every step away only tightens the invisible thread between them. When dawn breaks, the palace bells toll once, an omen's chime. By decree of the High Seer, the king is summoned to the Temple of the Moon. The courtyard gleams with frost. Every stone glows faintly red, reflecting the lunar eclipse rising above Velora. The High Seer, Astra Volin, kneels beside the sacred pool, her silver hair tangled with night air. Incense curls upward like ghost smoke. Its scent bites the tongue. Kaelin arrives cloaked, his sight still gone, but his awareness sharper than ever. He hears the shifting robes, the murmured prayers, the scrape of metal cups on marble. Astra does not rise. Majesty, she greets, you have called the storm into your own house. Kaelin's tone is low, brittle. You said the curse was reflection, not prophecy. Which is it, seer? Astra stirs the water with her staff. The reflection swirls, bleeding red. Both. When a king forgets mercy, the moon sends him a mirror. But when he learns it too late, the mirror turns to flame. He steps closer, fists clenched. Speak plainly. The seer's blind eyes lift toward the eclipse. If you love her, kingdoms will drown. The words cut through the courtyard like ice through water. Priests gasp. The wind shudders. Even the torches bend away from the sound. Kaelin's jaw tightens. You think love can drown a realm? Astra's lips twitch in something almost like pity. It already has, once before, in a life neither of you remember. He takes a slow breath. Then tell me what I've forgotten. That night, Seraphine dreams of fire. She stands upon a staircase made of bone and light, dressed in a gown of ashes. The world around her burns, yet she feels no heat, only the weight of something ancient pressing down on her chest. Below, armies scream. Above, a crown of silver splits the sky, and through it all, one figure walks toward her, tall, cloaked, carrying eyes like storms. Do you remember me? The voice asks, distorted by distance. When she reaches out, the vision cracks like glass. Her palms are bleeding light. The moon whispers through the dream, its voice vast, cold, and familiar. You once died for him. Will you again? Seraphine jolts awake in her cell, heart thrashing, breath short. Her hands glow faintly, the same ghost light that burned through Kaylin's blindness. She covers them in the blanket, trembling. At sunrise, Kaylin comes again. The guards don't stop him anymore. Even the torches lean toward his presence, as though the darkness itself obeys him. Seraphine sits cross-legged on the floor, her hair a curtain over her face. When he enters, she doesn't look up. I dreamt of you, she whispers. He pauses at the threshold. And? You were burning, she says softly, but you didn't scream. Kaylin steps closer until he can feel her warmth against his skin. Maybe I've already burned. Her laugh is quiet, bitter. You talk like a man waiting for punishment. Perhaps I am. He kneels before her, the scent of iron and smoke between them. I need to know who you were before this, before the curse. Seraphine's head tilts, uncertain. A servant, a fool, a girl who trusted the wrong hands. Not in this life, he says, before it. She stills. Something flickers in her expression, a flash of fear or maybe recognition. I see things when I sleep, she murmurs. Fire, a temple, your voice calling my name through smoke. Kaylin leans forward, his hand trembling. Say it. Kaylin, she breathes. The dungeon groans as though it remembers the name itself. For a heartbeat, the curse hums louder between them, a living thing that feeds on the sound of their bond. I think, she says slowly, that I loved you once, and that love destroyed us. Kaylin's throat tightens. Then the moon punished us both. Maybe she's giving us another chance, Seraphine says, her voice fragile as glass. Or maybe she's testing whether we'll make the same mistake twice. The High Seer summons them both to the temple courtyard that night. The red moon hangs heavy and swollen, bleeding light across the marble floor. Every priest in Velora gathers in silence as the divination begins. Seraphine stands barefoot in the circle, chains gone but wrists still scarred. Kaylin waits at the edge of the dais, his eyes hidden behind silver cloth. Aistra raises her staff, and the air trembles. By the moon's will, truth shall rise. The reflection in the sacred pool ripples. Within its surface, an image appears, a vision not of the present, but of a time long buried. The priests gasp. There she is, Seraphine, not as a maid, but as a queen crowned in silver flame. Her eyes glow, seeing through both worlds. Beside her, Kaylin kneels, younger, proud, unbroken. They are bound by light. Then the vision shifts. Fire reigns. The queen screams his name. The alpha burns from within, consumed by divine rage. The goddess's voice echoes through the temple. Love that defies me will end in ruin. Seraphine collapses, clutching her chest. Kaylin reaches for her instinctively, but the priests shout, Don't touch her! The prophecy repeats. Aistra's voice cuts through the chaos. Each lifetime you find each other, each lifetime ends in fire. The curse is not punishment, it is pattern. Kaylin's power surges. The torches bend toward him, flames snapping like teeth. Then I will break it, he growls. Aistra faces him, unshaken. You cannot. The moon does not curse. She remembers, and she remembers you both too well. Seraphine lifts her head, pale and trembling. If she remembers, then she must know we can change. The seer hesitates. Change demands sacrifice. Then tell me how. Aistra turns to Kaylin, voice cold as marble. If you love her again, kingdoms will drown. The bond feeds on your heart's defiance. The deeper you care, the closer the world comes to ruin. The silence that follows is unbearable. Kaylin's pulse roars in his ears, his curse writhes beneath his skin. He looks toward Seraphine. If the moon wants ruin, she'll have to take it from my hands. The High Seer slams her staff against the stone. You would defy a goddess? Kaylin's voice is iron. I already have. After the ceremony, Kaylin refuses the palace. He takes Seraphine to the northern courtyard, an abandoned garden where moonlight still spills through broken glass. There, among the ruins, he begins teaching her how to move by sound, not sight. "Listen," he says, guiding her hand to the air. "The wind changes when something moves. The world tells you where it is." She frowns. "You're the blind one, Majesty." He smiles faintly. "Not anymore. You helped me see through sound, through heartbeat. Now I'll help you do the same." Hours pass in quiet rhythm. Her steps become lighter, her turns sharper, guided by sound and instinct. When she stumbles, he catches her, his hands trembling but careful not to linger. "You're learning," he murmurs. "And you're pretending you're not afraid," she answers. He exhales. "I'm terrified. Of the prophecy? Of losing you again." The words hang between them like incense smoke, soft, poisonous, beautiful. That night they both dream the same dream. They stand together on a staircase of light, facing a burning crown. The goddess's voice rolls through the air like thunder. "You once died for love. Will you again?" Seraphine looks at Kaelin. "Would you still choose me?" He takes her hand, even if it ends in fire. When she wakes, her palms are glowing, pale silver burning through her skin. Kaelin finds her standing in the garden before dawn, palms outstretched, her tears glimmering under the red moonlight. "Seraphine," he breathes. "What are you doing?" "I can feel it," she whispers. "The same fire that burned your eyes. It's in me now." He steps forward, panic rising. "You can't hold that power. It's not human." She turns to him, her face illuminated by the goddess's cruel light. "Neither are we." A wind howls through the courtyard, scattering ashes from unseen fires. The moon's red reflection pulses in the sky, like a living wound. Kaelin reaches for her, but before he can touch, her palms ignite, radiant silver white, blinding. The same divine light that once destroyed his sight bursts from her hands, lighting the ruins, washing the courtyard in brilliance and sorrow. He drops to his knees, shielding what remains of his vision. "Seraphine!" She gasps as the power surges through her veins, splitting her voice in two. The mortals cry, and the goddesses echo. All debts return to the moon. And then silence. When Kaelin dares to look up, the fire has dimmed, but her eyes now shimmer with faint silver beneath the blindness. Astra's voice drifts faintly through the wind, carried from the temple far away. The moon's warning has begun. Her palms ignite with the same light that once burned his eyes. The fire in Seraphine's hands has not faded. Long after the courtyard emptied, the glow still clings to her skin, pulsing like a second heartbeat. Kaelin watches from the steps of the ruined temple, his sightless eyes turned toward her light. The air hums with something ancient and dangerous, the whisper of gods who refuse to sleep. When dawn breaks, the sanctuary of mirrors is no longer sacred. Its glass walls lie shattered, their reflections scattered into the sand like lost souls. The priests have fled. The council waits, and the moon, blood-red and cold, hovers low above Velora, as if waiting for a verdict. By decree of the High Council, the king and the cursed maid are to stand before judgment. Kaelin enters first. His crown is gone. His robes are dark, unadorned. Every step echoes against the stone, measured, deliberate, heavy with the sound of someone walking toward damnation. Seraphine follows, unbound but surrounded by guards who hold their weapons as though they fear her touch more than her defiance. Her hands are wrapped in linen, but the faint glow beneath the bandages seeps through. At the center of the ruined hall, the councillors wait in semicircle formation, robed in black and silver. Their eyes flicker between pity and revulsion. "Majesty," says Lord Vere, oldest of the council, "you stand accused of harboring the curse that has brought famine, plague, and night upon our kingdom." Kaelin's voice is calm. "And what do you stand accused of, my lord? Cowardice?" Gasps ripple through the chamber. Vere's face tightens. "Your defiance has blinded you more than her curse ever could. Look at your people. if you still can. Crops have withered, livestock turned to ash, the moon itself bleeds red each night. All since you spared this witch. Seraphine lifts her chin. I didn't ask to be spared. Nor, says another counselor, did the kingdom ask to be damned. The last fragments of glass still cling to the temple walls, each shard reflecting 100 fractured versions of the same truth. The high seer, Aestra Volin, steps forward between them, her staff glowing faintly. Enough, she says. The goddess Nithra will speak for herself. The air turns colder. The torches dim. Aestra kneels by the shattered pool where divine reflections once lived. With trembling hands, she carves the ancient runes into the dust and pours moonwater over them. The light catches, spreading across the floor in silver veins until the entire hall hums like a living heart. Then, silence. Every fragment of broken mirror lifts from the ground, suspended mid-air, turning toward the blood moon above. Kaelin reaches for Seraphine's hand without thinking, but she pulls back. Her voice trembles. It's her. The shards tremble as if breathing. And from them, a voice like 1,000 echoes speaks, soft, terrible, endless. One must carry the curse, one the memory. Choose. The goddess's tone is neither threat nor mercy. It is inevitability made sound. Aestra's head bows low. Moon of all, grant us clarity. The voice deepens. You were lovers once. You burned together. You swore to defy me, and in doing so, you bound yourselves beyond death. The world suffers because you cannot forget. Kaelin's jaw hardens. Then end it. Take me instead. I cannot, the goddess says through the mirrors. You are both fragments of the same flame. One burns, one remembers. Seraphine's breath catches. What does that mean? Exactly what it sounds like, Aestra whispers. If you love him, you'll live with his death. If you forsake him, you'll live with the curse. The mirrors blaze. Kaelin falls to his knees as the shards spin around them, painting the air in streaks of silver and crimson. The reflections no longer show the present. They show memory. Another palace. Another age. Seraphine gasps. In the mirror's vision, she stands crowned. Her hair braided in silver, her eyes bright and unblinded. She wears the mantle of a queen, the moon's own chosen. And beside her, Kaelin kneels, wearing armor gilded with celestial fire. He is not her captor, but her husband. Not her curse, but her king. The vision shifts. The same couple now stands on a balcony of flame as armies riot below. The moon itself cracks overhead. Kaelin, alpha of the gods' firstborn pack, turns against the divine order to save her from execution. And Seraphine, queen of light, drives her own blade through his heart before the curse consumes the world. The vision dissolves into screams and ash. Seraphine clutches her chest, choking on memory. No, I killed you. Kaelin stumbles to her side. You saved me. You stopped the fire. You've always stopped it. The mirrors flicker, showing the same death again and again. The queen killing the king, the maid blinding the alpha, the same love repeating across centuries, each time ending in ruin. Aestra's voice trembles. It was never curse nor accident. You two are the balance. When one suffers, the other survives. When one remembers, the other burns. The counselors fall to their knees as lightning splits the sky outside, striking the sanctuary spire. The red moon brightens, flooding the ruined chamber in an otherworldly glow. Lord Vere shouts over the storm. Do you see now? She must die to break the cycle. Kaelin stands, his power trembling through the air. If she dies, I follow. There is no cycle without us both. The goddess's voice reverberates through every mirror, and so you choose. Seraphine turns to him, tears burning through the glow. Don't. I have to, he says. You saw it, every life, every ruin. It ends with you killing me to save what's left. I won't make you do it again. He steps forward into the circle of runes. The silver lines react, brightening under his feet. His body glows faintly, his skin cracking with light. Seraphine screams, "Stop!" and rushes to him, but the force throws her back. Kaelin's voice rises above the chaos. "If the curse needs a vessel, it's me." The mirrors flash once, twice, then shatter inward. Shards rain across the hall. The goddess speaks one final time. One will burn, one will remember. Lightning crashes through the broken roof, striking Kaelin's chest. The explosion sends Astra and the counselors sprawling. When the smoke clears, Kaelin is still standing, barely. His hands blaze like twin suns. Seraphine crawls to him, eyes wide with horror. "Kaelin!" He smiles weakly. "You'll live. That's enough." She grabs his arm, her palms burning against his skin, her own light flaring in protest. "If you burn, I burn with you." The goddess's echo rumbles through the ruins. Faith is not dying together. It's living apart. Seraphine clings tighter, her tears hissing as they touch his skin. "Then I have no faith left." Kaelin collapses, pulling her into his arms. "You will," he whispers, "because you'll remember." Astra struggles to her feet amid the wreckage. Her robes are singed, blood trickles from her temple. She sees them, two figures bound by light, collapsing beneath the storm. "Moon, preserve us," she breathes. But the goddess does not answer. Instead, the lightning gathers again above the sanctuary. The red glow turns to white. It crashes down, sealing the prophecy with thunder that shakes the earth itself. The runes ignite. The inscription burns itself into the floor. One will burn. One will remember. When the light fades, silence follows. Smoke rises from the ruins. The counselors whisper prayers that sound more like apologies. Kaelin lies motionless on the dais, his eyes open but empty. Seraphine kneels beside him, her hands over his heart, glowing faintly through her tears. Astra approaches slowly. "It's done," she says. "The choice is made." Seraphine looks up at her. "No," she whispers, voice breaking. "The choice was stolen." She presses her forehead to Kaelin's, and as her tears fall, the last of her light flickers, soft, exhausted, surrendering. Outside, the storm dies. The red moon fades to silver. Astra kneels beside the fallen king and the weeping maid. "So the curse continues," she murmurs, "not through wrath, but through love too deep to end." The goddess's final whisper rides the wind through the open roof, faint but unmistakable. "Faith was never meant to save you, only to make you remember." Lightning seals the prophecy. One will burn, one will remember. The prophecy doesn't end in silence. It ends in screams. When the thunder fades from the sanctuary, the world forgets how to breathe. The mirrors have fallen. The goddess's voice has vanished into ash. Seraphine kneels amid the wreckage, Kaelin's body in her arms, the taste of iron and smoke on her tongue. The mark that once bound them flickers faintly on his chest, light trying and failing to remember life. She presses her palm against his heart. Nothing. Then, faintly, a tremor. One last beat, then stillness. "Please," she whispers, "don't let that be our ending." The wind answers with silence. Outside, horns blare. The council's soldiers march through the rain, carrying banners that drip with the symbol of the moon's wrath. The news spreads before sunrise. The king is dead. The witch lives. The curse endures. By dusk, Vihlora burns. Villagers riot at the gates. Priests cry that the goddess demands atonement. Every hungry child, every withered crop, every shadow in the sky is now the maid's fault. Seraphine stands on the palace balcony, the wind clawing her hair across her blind face. Below her, the mob howls. "Kill the witch! Cleanse the curse!" She clutches Kaelin's crown to her chest. It feels too heavy for gold, heavy with guilt, with memory. "I told you they'd hate me," she whispers to the empty air. But the air isn't empty. Somewhere in the halls, something moves, slow, deliberate, familiar. Kaelin wakes in darkness. Not in life, not in death, something in between. The lightning that killed him has branded his veins with white fire. He feels it crawling beneath his skin, whispering her name with every pulse. He rises, unsteady, the ground beneath him cracked with heat. Through the ruined hall, he follows her scent. Jasmine, ashes, tears. Every step burns. Every breath hurts. But the curse has chosen its vessel. When he finds her on the balcony, she doesn't turn. She doesn't need sight to know his presence. "You're supposed to be gone," she murmurs. "Maybe I am." His voice is smoke and thunder. "But I couldn't leave you alone." She reaches out, trembling, touches his face, and gasps. His skin is fevered, his pulse wild. The fire inside him hums like a caged storm. "You're burning," she says. He smiles, and it's heartbreak. "Then let me burn for something worth saving." The palace gates burst open. Rebels flood the courtyards, men in ragged armor, priests wielding relics that gleam with lunar blessing. Their chant rises like a tide. "End the curse, end the night." Kaelin draws his sword. The metal glows white, alive with the same divine fire coursing through his body. "Stay behind me," he says. Seraphine grips his arm. "No, we stand. Together." The first wave hits. Steel crashes, arrows scream. Kaelin moves like a storm unleashed. Each swing a flare of light, each strike an explosion of holy fury. The ground quakes, flames spill from his wounds instead of blood. Seraphine feels every heartbeat he spends. The air around him crackles, thinning, unraveling. She screams over the chaos. "Kaelin, stop! The moon, she's watching!" "I don't care." His eyes blaze like suns. "If this curse wants blood, it'll take mine." Above them, the moon turns black. The bloodlight fades to shadow. Every torch dies. Then the sky splits open, red lightning veining the clouds. A spear arcs through the dark, thrown by some unseen hand. Seraphine senses it before he does. "Kaelin!" She moves, too slow. The spear strikes his chest. The sound isn't metal piercing flesh. It's the sound of glass shattering inside a soul. Kaelin staggers. Flame erupts from the wound, pure moonfire, blinding white. The rebels freeze. The priests fall to their knees. Seraphine catches him as he drops, but the heat sears her palms. "Don't," he gasps, pushing her back, his voice breaking through fire. "Run, before it takes you too." "I won't leave you again." "You must. If I lose control, everything burns." It's already too late. The moonfire spreads, veins of light crawling up the palace walls, consuming stone like paper. Kaelin kneels amid the blaze, sword buried in the floor. Every breath he exhales becomes fire. Seraphine stumbles toward him through the inferno. Blind but guided by the bond that never died. "Let me help you," she pleads. He laughs. A broken, beautiful sound. "You already did." The goddess's whisper coils through the smoke. "One will burn, one will remember." He lifts his face toward the collapsing ceiling, tears evaporating before they can fall. "For once," he says softly, "let me choose." Then he lets go. The moonfire erupts outward, a silent explosion of light. Every rebel, every priest, every stone is swept away in brilliance. Seraphine is thrown back by the shockwave. The world dissolves into white. Silence. When she wakes, the palace is gone. Ash drifts like snow over the ruins. The air still smells of burnt gold. She crawls through the rubble, hands searching blindly until her fingers brush something cool, metal. Kaelin's crown. Then softer still. A single feather, black at the edges, white at its heart. Her throat closes. "No." The wind carries his last words, faint as breath. "You'll remember." She presses the feather to her chest. "I already do." The sun rises for the first time in months. It touches the broken stones, the scorched soil, and her tear-streaked face. and in that fragile light, something blooms, tiny shoots of silver grass sprouting through the ash. The curse has burned itself into renewal. Hours later, the villagers find her walking barefoot through the ruins, robes torn, eyes silvered by light. No one dares approach. They whisper, "The witch survived. The king became fire." But Seraphine does not answer them. She kneels where the throne once stood and lays the crown and feather side by side. "Rest," she whispers. "You kept your promise." When the wind shifts, the ashes swirl into a shape, two silhouettes entwined, then scattering into sky. The goddess's final murmur rides the dawn. Faith is never extinguished, only transformed. When dawn breaks, only his crown and a single feather of ash rest in her trembling hands. The world remembers him as a curse. She remembers him as a promise. A year has passed since the night Valora burned. The ruins of the obsidian palace lie beneath snow and vines. The moon no longer bleeds red. It glows pale and distant, as though weary of watching mortals destroy themselves. Far from the cities, in a quiet valley surrounded by whispering pines, Seraphine lives among those who no longer ask questions. They call her the healer of ashes. She does not correct them. Each morning, she kneels beside the river, where frost glitters like broken glass. Her hands, once marked by divine light, now tremble as she draws water into her bowl. Wherever the droplets fall, tiny silver lilies bloom, cold and luminous. The villagers say the flowers are blessed. Seraphine knows better. They are reminders. Every petal whispers his name. The valley is quiet except for the wind, and sometimes, in the hush between breaths, she hears his voice in it. Not words, not memories, just the pulse of something that refuses to die. "You weren't meant to break me," the wind sighs through the trees, "only to teach me to live." She presses her hand against her chest, where the faint scar of his flame still glows beneath her skin. "And you did," she answers softly. "You taught me how to grieve." But even grief grows roots. Her touch now heals the sick, men's wounds that no salve can reach. When her palms hover above fevered flesh, the air fills with the same faint shimmer that once blinded a king. Children leave offerings at her door, feathers, flowers, silver trinkets. None dare speak his name, but everyone feels the warmth that lingers after she smiles. Peace, she's learned, is heavier than war. It demands that she stay still, that she not reach toward ghosts. At night, when the world turns silver, she dreams of the last time she held him. The heat, the light, the sound of stone cracking beneath the force of love that refused to yield. Then, always, the silence. She wakes to the same empty room, to the same crown resting by her bedside, now dulled by dust. Sometimes she speaks to it. "You'd hate this quiet," she murmurs. "You'd have filled it with thunder." One evening, as the moon swells full, the High Seer, Aestra, appears at her door, frail, veiled, leaning on a staff carved from mirror shards. "The curse was never broken," the old woman says. "It was changed." Seraphine's fingers tighten around the edge of her shawl. "Then what am I now?" "The memory," Aestra whispers, "the one who must remember until the other learns mercy." She doesn't understand until the sky shudders, a distant rumble rolling across the valley like thunder that forgot where to stop. The same sound she heard the night he died. Aestra lowers her head. "When the moon turns its face again, you'll see him." "See?" Seraphine laughs, a brittle sound. "I have no eyes left for miracles." The seer's veil flutters. "It isn't your eyes the moon will use." Then she is gone, leaving only the echo of her staff against stone and the scent of burning silver. The next days pass in uneasy calm. Villagers whisper of strange omens, wolves howling at noon, rivers running warm beneath ice. Seraphine feels it too. The air hums, the same frequency as a heartbeat she once matched with her own. She stands in the field where lilies grow thicker every night. Their glow has changed, not pure silver anymore, but streaked with faint threads of flame. She kneels, touching one bloom gently. Kaelin, the wind stiffens, carrying the faintest reply. Soon. The anniversary of the blood moon arrives beneath an iron sky. Thunder prowls the horizon. Rain turns to sleet, to snow, then to fire. The villagers lock themselves inside. Seraphine stands alone before her cottage, her white hair whipping around her face. The air smells like lightning, sharp, metallic, divine. She lifts her chin toward the storm. If this is punishment, then finish it. But the lightning doesn't strike her. It strikes the valley ridge. The ground trembles. A shape moves through the smoke, tall, broad, cloaked in frost and shadow. Each step leaves molten footprints that hiss as snow tries to smother them. When he speaks, the sound is both familiar and impossible. Seraphine. Her breath breaks. She knows that voice. It's the sound of every prayer she never dared to say aloud. She takes a single step forward, her bare feet slicing through the frozen grass. You can't be. The figure moves closer, and the world seems to bend around him. The storm slows, the air holds its breath. He stops a few paces away, the hood of his cloak dripping with ice. When he lifts it, the firelight from her cottage catches his eyes, grey as the storm, rimmed in faint silver. Kaelin. But not as she remembered. There's no crown, no armor, no fire. Only a man, mortal and trembling. Her hands rise before she can stop them, reaching toward him. How? The moon's mercy, he says quietly. And your memory. She touches his face, warm, alive, human. The flame that once devoured her palms now only tingles, gentle heat, no pain. Her breath stutters. You're free, his voice cracks. No, just forgiven. She sways, the weight of that word almost breaking her. Then it's over, he shakes his head. Curses don't die, Seraphine. They learn. Rain softens to mist. He kneels before her, snow melting beneath his touch. The world called me untouchable, he says, voice barely above a whisper. Your heart made me human. She falls to her knees beside him, tears spilling freely now. And you called me cursed, but you gave me back what I lost. He smiles faintly. What's that? Faith. The moon breaks through the clouds then, its light washing over them both. The valley glows silver blue, every lily catching the reflection until the ground itself looks aflame. The goddess's voice sweeps through the wind one final time. The curse did not die. It learned compassion. Kaelin's hand finds hers. Then let's teach it to live. She laughs through her tears, and for the first time since the fire, her laughter doesn't echo. It harmonizes, as though the night itself joins in. The villagers emerge at dawn, blinking against the brightness. They find the valley blooming with light, the healer gone, and two silhouettes walking toward the mountains, hand in hand, shadows trailing silver. One of the children, clutching a single feather of ash, whispers, "Maybe the curse finally fell in love." And from the far ridge, thunder answers like a heartbeat reborn. The night the storm returns, the valley forgets its quiet, wind howls through the pines, tearing at rooftops and dragging thunder across the mountains like a chained beast. Seraphine stands at her door, blind eyes lifted to the dark. The air hums the same note she once felt in her bones. A vibration of divinity, loss, and fire. She knows this sound. It's the sound of his curse. Lightning rips open the sky, flooding the valley in white. For a moment she sees, not with sight but memory. The flames that took him, the crown that fell, the feather that cooled in her palms. Then, from the storm's heart, footsteps. The door bursts open. Wind slams into the room, scattering the herbs she hung to dry, blowing out every candle except one. In the threshold stands a man cloaked in frost, rain pouring off his shoulders like the tears of a god. "Who's there?" she calls, steady but trembling. His answer is a whisper threaded with thunder, someone who's walked too long without warmth. She freezes. That voice, It carries the same gravity that once commanded armies, the same ache that made the world kneel. "Kaelin," she breathes. He steps forward, the wood creaking beneath his boots. Not the one you remember. The faint light flickers over his face. His eyes, storm grey, rimmed faintly in silver, lock onto hers. Not burning now, but human, mortal. Her breath catches, her hand trembling as she reaches out. "If you're a dream, let me wake." "You've never dreamed," he says gently, and takes her hand. The moment their skin touches, she braces for pain, but none comes. Only warmth, deep and steady, like sunlight after centuries of night. He looks down at their joined hands, as if he too doesn't believe it. "The fire is gone." She shakes her head slowly. "No, it changed." He nods. "The goddess said the same. The curse didn't die. It learned mercy." She pulls him into the cottage, guiding him to the chair by the fire. "You shouldn't be here," she whispers. "The world thinks you're dead. It will want to kill you again if it finds out." He gives a tired smile. "Then let them try. I've already burned once." The storm rages outside, but inside, the fire's glow softens the edges of the years between them. Seraphine kneels at his side, tracing the lines of his face, the scar at his temple, the stubble on his jaw, the faint heat still humming beneath his skin. "You're mortal," she says again, as though naming it will make it stay. "Freed," he corrects quietly. "The goddess stripped me of divinity. Said I'd carried her punishment long enough. And me? She said your heart paid her debt." Tears well behind her sightless eyes. "Then why does it still hurt?" He hesitates, then leans closer. "Because the curse wasn't the fire. It was love that burned too bright for mortals to bear." She laughs softly, a sound edged with grief. "And yet here we are, loving still." Kaelin takes her hands again. "Do you regret it?" "Every time I breathe," she says, "and never once." He lowers his head, pressing his forehead to hers. "Then I am still yours, even stripped of power. Just a man who remembers what it cost to touch you." For the first time since the night of fire, she feels whole. Not healed, not free. Whole. The storm outside softens to rain. As they sit in the quiet, the wind carries a voice neither of them expected. Soft, melodic, infinite. "You defied the moon and burned her name into time. Now she gives you what you once begged for. Peace." Seraphine lifts her face toward the sound. "Peace?" she whispers. "After all this?" The fire flickers, and in its glow, the shadow of the goddess forms for a heartbeat on the wall, woman and wolf intertwined. "Love was never your punishment," the voice murmurs. "It was your lesson." Then it's gone. Kaelin's shoulders shake. "Do you think she's truly done with us?" Seraphine smiles faintly. "No goddess ever is, but perhaps she's learned mercy too." Kaelin rises, crossing to the window. Beyond the glass, the valley glows faintly silver. The lilies she once planted shimmer through the rain, blooming brighter than before. "You did this," he says. "You turned ruin into rebirth." She joins him, fingers brushing his arm. "We did. One burned, one remembered." He looks at her, eyes soft. "Then let this life be the one where we live." She tilts her head toward him, blind eyes shining. "And if fate calls again?" "Then we answer together." He kneels before her, no crown, no throne, only the sound of rain and the steady beat of two hearts relearning their rhythm. "The world called me untouchable," he says, his voice breaking with reverence. "Your heart made me human." She reaches down, cupping his face. "And yours made me see." The fire flares, silver for just an instant, their souls recognizing what gods once cursed and finally allowed. By dawn, the storm is gone. The valley sparkles with dew and faint traces of moonlight. Villagers who dare approach her cottage stop in wonder. The door stands open, the hearth still warm, 2 cups of tea untouched on the table. But the house is empty. Only footprints, hers and his, lead down to the river where the lilies glow brightest. The child who finds them later whispers, "They went where the moonlight touches the water." And as the morning wind sighs through the valley, it carries a voice soft and sure. The curse did not die. It learned to love. The year after the fire feels like another lifetime. Velora no longer smells of smoke. The air tastes of rain and green things. The ruins where the obsidian palace once stood now cradle gardens, silver herbs, moon lilies, and pale vines that curl over polished white stone. Where gallows once creaked, children now chase fireflies. The people call it the Garden of Forgiveness. At the center rises the Palace of Dawn, built not for grandeur but remembrance. Its spires are soft curves instead of spears. Its walls are etched with every name lost to flame. The moonlight catches them all, so that no soul fades into shadow again. From the highest balcony, the king watches the sunrise spread over his new world. Kaelin stands without armor, dressed in linen and a silver band on his wrist where fire once lived. The mark that cursed him no longer burns. It glows, faint and steady, like a heartbeat at peace. Below, the courtyard stirs with quiet laughter. The healers gather at dawn, as they do every morning, led by a woman who walks barefoot through dew. Seraphine. She cannot see the world she rebuilt, yet the kingdom swears she perceives more than anyone alive. Her steps never falter. Her hands find every pulse and pain and ease it. Even the wind seems to hush when she moves through the gardens. The people call her the Blind Queen. She calls herself forgiven. Kaelin descends the stairs and finds her where he always does, by the herb bed beneath the great willow, the same place where her execution once loomed. Now the rope is gone, replaced by silver roots that shimmer faintly with moonlight. "Your Majesty," she teases softly, hearing his tread before he speaks. He smiles. "You still refuse to call me Kaelin. Kings should not bend so easily." "They should," he murmurs, "when the world they rule was born from a woman's mercy." She tilts her face toward the warmth of his voice. "And kings who burned a kingdom to save one life?" He kneels beside her, brushing soil from her fingers. Spend the rest of their lives rebuilding every brick. The quiet between them is not empty. It hums with the same rhythm as the world outside, new, fragile, hopeful. Behind them, the temple bells begin to chime. The citizens of Velora are gathering. Tonight marks the first festival of light, celebrating the end of the divine curse. The goddess demanded no sacrifice, no blood, only remembrance. Kaelin helps Seraphine to her feet. Together, they walk toward the courtyard of moons, where the crowd waits beneath lanterns shaped like stars. Wolves lie among the people now, no longer hunted or feared. Children braid flowers into their fur. When Kaelin and Seraphine step into view, the courtyard falls silent. No crown adorns him, no veil covers her. They stand as they are, scarred, human, whole. The High Seer Astra, once the voice of doom, kneels before them, holding a silver bowl filled with water drawn from the river of ash, the same river where Seraphine's blood once stained the stones. She lifts it high. "The goddess Nithra has spoken," she proclaims. "The curse is undone not by power, but by mercy. Today she crowns not rulers, but hearts that endured." The moon climbs higher, turning the palace to glass and the gardens to silver flame. Kaelin takes Seraphine's hands. "Before all of Velora," he says, his voice steady, "I vow this kingdom will never again burn for the pride of its throne. It will live for compassion instead." Seraphine smiles faintly. "Then let it begin with us." The crowd bows. Even the wolves lower their heads. A breeze moves through the courtyard, stirring the lilies into a soft rustle, like applause from the dead. Then the moonlight thickens. It pours down like rain, coalescing into a shape above the altar. The goddess herself appears, not wrathful this time, but luminous, her face both woman and wolf, her voice as calm as the tide. You kept my balance, she says. You burned. You remembered. The lesson is done. Her eyes, pale as dawn, turn to Seraphine. You who blinded a king's cruelty to awaken his sight. You have repaid the old debt. Then to Kaelin. And you who learned to kneel before love, you have proven fire can kneel without losing light. Kaelin bows his head. Then lift your judgment, goddess. Let no one bear this curse again. Nithra smiles, a small, sorrowful curve. The curse was never mine to give. It was your love's reflection. Mortal hearts forged it. Mortal hearts broke it. Her form begins to fade into mist. Guard what you have made. The moon watches, not to punish, but to remember. As her light withdraws, the water in Aestra's bowl turns to liquid silver, spreading across the courtyard like veins of light. Where it touches soil, new flowers bloom. White, scentless, eternal. The people fall to their knees. Seraphine turns toward the warmth beside her. She's gone. Kaelin nods, his hand closing around hers. And yet, I think she's everywhere now. They walk together to the edge of the courtyard, where the gallows once stood. In its place, a single tree rises, its bark pale as bone, its leaves gleaming with starlight. Seraphine kneels at its roots, planting the last of her herbs. What are these? Kaelin asks. Silverleaf, she says. It grows only where mercy has been chosen over revenge. He crouches beside her, pressing a seed into the soil with his thumb. Then may the world never run out of it. They remain there as the bells toll the hour of the eternal moon, the moment when every year the heavens pause to honor the balance between punishment and grace. The people light lanterns, wolves howl a hymn older than kingdoms. Kaelin lifts Seraphine's hand to his lips. You changed the way I see everything. She smiles, tears tracing light across her cheeks. And you taught me to trust what I can't see. The moon hangs full and unblinking above them, casting its reflection into the new palace's mirrored pools. For a heartbeat, the two figures standing by the silverleaf tree glow, one once cursed by fire, the other once blinded by light, united in calm radiance. The goddess's whisper moves through the air, softer than memory. Love transforms the curse it endures. And then silence. The wind settles, the flowers bow, the night becomes eternal. He was the Alpha King no one could forgive. She was the maid the moon sent to teach him how. And though their love began in blindness, it ended in light,